Michaela Chester here with Emily Meinhardt, a managing editor at College Gym News. Emily, thank you so much for joining me. The college gymnastics season is right around the corner, so let's talk about it. I want to dive right into the biggest storylines for 2023. I mean, Trinity Thomas coming back to Florida, Oklahoma looking to repeat. Can you break all of the storylines down for us?
Yes, Oklahoma on the trail to repeating is definitely one of the top storylines of the season. The Sooners have been looking strong in the preseason. They brought in strong freshmen. They lost very few routines. So it's definitely Oklahoma's to lose. It feels like this year. Oklahoma was both our CGN number one in our preseason poll as well as the coaches poll number one. So they're starting the season at number one. Trinity Thomas back for Florida, though, might have something to say about that. The Gators are always so strong, and they have so much depth this year. I honestly cannot even predict what their lineups are going to be. They have so many routines that they're going to be leaving Olympic and world champions on the bench. That's just inevitable, which is wild. So if Florida can hit in the postseason, which is a perennial question, they can definitely put pressure on Oklahoma. Another huge thing to keep an eye on this year is that we have three brand new teams that are competing for the first time. Greenville University and Simpson College are both Division III teams kicking off their programs this year. And Fisk University in Nashville is our first ever HBCU program in NCAA gymnastics. So we're going to be welcoming them into the fold just this Friday, the January 6th.
Exciting stuff. So, College Gym News did come out with their rankings, like you mentioned, in December. Oklahoma, Florida, and Utah on top, pretty undisputed in that regard. So, can you tell me why these are the top three teams in the nation?
Sure. Well, we've learned quickly that you can never count out KJ Kindler's Sooners. She just gets that team to hit when it counts. They have huge difficulty and they're so clean. So it's just always a mistake to count out Oklahoma. But Florida is right there behind the Sooners. The Gators have so much depth, they have so much difficulty. If they can just focus and hit in the postseason, they could be an incredibly dangerous team that definitely has a shot at the title. And sitting just behind those two is Utah, a team that has historically been one of the forces in NCAA gymnastics that just hasn't been able to put the last piece in place to win another title since the 90s. But the Utes look strong this year. They have an incredible team. They brought in a huge freshman in McKenna Smith. If the Utes can just take that next step, especially on vault and bars, they could be huge contenders.
Okay, and then Michigan was so close behind Utah in terms of those points, but the Wolverines and who else should we be keeping an eye on outside of the top three?
Sure, Michigan is definitely dangerous. It's a team that regained some depth with some injury returners this year, so don't count out the Wolverines. But Alabama, Auburn, and LSU are also sitting just outside that top group. Alabama brought in a brand new head coach in Ashley Johnson this year and has just been looking amazing in the preseason. Auburn, of course, has Suni Lee returning as well as Darian Gaborn and is just really made a name for itself in the top group. LSU is a little bit on the comeback trail this year after a tough end to the 2022 season, but Jay Clark knows how to get his team moving. So I think LSU will also sort of have a reascendancy into that secondary group this year.
And then we do have a lot of freshman names that I kind of want to mention. In looking at College Gym News, there's a lot of talk about Selena Harris at UCLA, Nikki Smith at Michigan State, and Faith Torres at OU. So names like that entering the landscape, how do you think that could really alter the standings? We haven't seen them compete at the collegiate level yet.
Right. All three have the potential to really write their names in NCAA history books. Selena Harris especially stands out in the group. She competed in the all-around in the Meet the Bruins preview for UCLA and just looked spectacular. She's going to be ready to go from day one and really could be a force that helps that team reemerge from a tough 2022. Faith Torres, again, you can't count out anything about Oklahoma. She comes in with incredible difficulty, including doing a standing full on beam, which is a skill we rarely see. So she's definitely one to keep an eye on. And Nikki Smith is the second former five-star recruit in a row that Michigan State has brought in, and she just looked incredible in all of their preseason work too. So I think she's going to be a real force in keeping Michigan State in the nationals conversation this year.
Absolutely excited to see all those new faces competing this year. Early on, we've got some great meets, invitationals that we should be keeping an eye on. Is there any way you could break down some of those for us that, fans should be marking on their schedules?
Absolutely. Well, everyone has heard talk about the Super 16, this incredibly huge invitational happening in Las Vegas during opening weekend. It's Friday, January 6th and Saturday, January 7th. There are going to be 16 teams competing across 4 sessions, and just huge names are going to be there. You're going to see Suni Lee, you're going to see Selena Harris, some of the names we already talked about. And it's really exciting to have a destination meet in Las Vegas, which is really reemerging as a great sports city. We also have LSU at Utah January 6th, which is just such a fun way to kick off the season. Both teams that are sort of jockeying to be at the top. I think we'll learn a lot about both teams at that meet. And moving further into the season, and on February 18th, UCLA competes at California, which is a particularly exciting meet because UCLA's brand new coach, Janelle McDonald, was formerly the bars coach at California. So that should be a fun battle.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, thank you so much for breaking down preseason storylines, college gymnastics kicking off on January 6th. So appreciate your time and looking forward to a great 2023 season.
Thank you for having me.